When people are telling you to stop self-sabotaging, it's not just so that you can feel better in life or just feel like you have accomplished something. It's actually to save your life. Self-sabotaging could end up in you living the most miserable life. So when we say that you have to deal with it, it's not just so that you can become happy, it's to save your life. First, you must understand, why am I self-sabotaging? And this is the reason: low self-esteem. We don't believe that we can go through with our goal, so we don't even try. Thought of failing makes you so scared and you're so sure of failing that you don't even try because you fear it so much. You don't believe in yourself. So you don't want to waste your time on trying to do something new that you know that you will fail. But here's the tricky part. It could also be quite the opposite. It could be you fearing success. Because when you start succeeding in life, this means that people will have bigger expectation of you, bigger expectations of your work, and just expecting you to be a lot better. Some people fear that if they don't fail but succeed, that people will have so much expectations to them that they won't be able to live up to. So it could go both ways. It could be a fear of failure, but it could also be a fear of success. And all this could potentially come from trauma from your childhood or past relationships. For example, maybe you were taught as a child that you can't do anything, and every time you try to do something, everything goes wrong. Or maybe in your past relationship, your partner used to bring you down, and now your self-confidence and your self-esteem is literally gone. And this may be the reason as to why you self-sabotage. And here's how you're going to change that. I read this in an article and it's literally the best hack ever. So you have to replace your self-sabotaging behavior with replacement behavior. And this sounds so complicated, but it's really not. You just have to first be self-aware and recognize what is your self-sabotage behavior. For example, if you know that when you come home from work, especially when it's been a stressful day at work or you're just very hungry and stressed, you come home and reach for junk food or reach for sugar as soon as you step through the door, because this is how you handle your stress. You do it by eating your dopamine. You do it by junk food and sweets comforting you. This is where you have to replace that self-sabotage behavior. Remember, eating junk food after a long day is your self-sabotage behavior, with a replacement behavior. And the replacement behavior could be that you pack a snack to eat the day before, so that when you come home, you know that you have a healthy snack in the fridge waiting for you, so that you don't reach for junk food or sweets to comfort you, because you know that you won't have the energy to make something healthy. So replace your toxic behavior with something new by preparing yourself in advance for what's to come. Or for example, if you know that when you become bored, that's when you start overeating or binge eating, replace this toxic self-sabotage behavior with a replacement behavior that could be, for example, going for a walk as soon as you feel the urge, and maybe call a friend and talk about it. You have to find a better solution to soothe yourself that doesn't involve self-sabotage. So every single time you feel the urge to self-sabotage, find a solution to it that is called a replacement behavior. Or for example, if you know that when you study at home, you can't get anything done and you start just scrolling on your phone, replace this self-sabotage behavior by changing environments. Maybe go to the library, and this will be your replacement behavior. So every time you feel like, I can't focus, I keep scrolling on my phone, I'm self-sabotaging right now, go to the library and start over there. That might be a better solution and your replacement behavior for this one problem. So find a better solution to soothe yourself than to self-sabotage. And the second thing is to stop comparing. Reason as to why we self-sabotage is because we compare. We compare with other people. We look at where they are in life and where you are, and you start comparing, even though you don't know their story. And this is where your insecurity starts, because if you start complaining, you will start believing that you're not enough and that you won't ever be able to achieve these things, because you compare yourself with people who already have achieved these things. Of course, you're not going to think you're as good as them when they have achieved something that you haven't. So stop looking at other people and watch your own process instead. And by comparing to other people and believing that you're less than them, this will lead to you not even trying, and this is a prime example of self-sabotaging. And this is how you can stop comparing. You can focus on yourself, so fully focus on you working out, going for walks, eating healthy, educating yourself, hanging out with people you love. Just make your schedule as busy as possible with only focusing on yourself. You could also limit social media, because when we're scrolling on social media, that's when we get the most impressions. That's where we get the most false narrative of people's lives and start comparing our daily lives and our reality to people's highlights. So limit social media. And when you're comparing, you also have to realize and remember that everyone has different journeys. A person may be achieve the thing that you wanted to achieve in 10 days, whilst your journey is going to take 2 years. But don't see this as a negative thing. This only means that you will have 2 years to prepare for your success. You will have 2 years to calmly build yourself up and to get used to this new way of living. Don't compare, but if you do compare, see it as a positive thing. Turn it into a positive thing. And don't let yourself get too negative. And also, one thing that you have to remember is that everyone has different end goals. Everyone has different reasons as to why they want to achieve the things that they want to achieve. So you can't really compare, because we all have different journeys and different experiences. And another thing that you can do to stop self-sabotaging is to practice acceptance. You have to come to terms with the worst thing that could possibly happen, which is your fears. So you have to come face to face with your fears and accept them. Ask yourself, what is my biggest fear? What is holding me back? Is it that I'm scared of failing? Is the worst thing that can happen that you fail? If it is, get comfortable with the thought of failing and become comfortable with failure. Once you have accepted the worst possible thing that could happen to you, you won't be scared anymore, because you've accepted the worst scenario. Nothing will be able to stop you, because you've already dealt with the consequences of failing in your head. And also remember, failure, humiliation, fear, every single thing of that is worth the cost of succeeding. If you really want to succeed, you're not going to let fear stop you. You're not going to let something so small that's only in your head that you can fully have control over stop you from living your dream life. So get comfortable with failing. Get comfortable with the worst scenario possible so that you can move on, and so that you have already accepted it. Something that you've already become familiar with in your head will not be able to stop you in real life. Which leads me to my last point, which is watch your headspace. Watch what you say to yourself. Words mean something. When you keep telling yourself a lie, for example, I won't be able to succeed, I will fail, I'm not good enough, this will eventually become the truth, because your actions will actually start to take inspiration from your thoughts. So if you genuinely believe and you're telling yourself that you will fail, your actions will be inspired by you failing. So if you want to become fit and stop eating junk food, if you tell yourself, I will fail, your brain will become so comfortable with the thought of failing that it will force you to fail. Words have value. That's why communication is so important. That's why every single time someone tells you how to build a better relationship with someone, it's by communicating, because words have such a strong meaning. It could change your whole life. That is why nothing in the world would work out without communicating, because it's so important to be able to understand people with words. You can't understand people without words. And communication is not only important between two people or maybe a group of people, it's also important for yourself. How you talk to yourself, how you view yourself, what are you thinking about? How are you communicating with yourself? You're supposed to be your biggest fan. Why are you talking to yourself like your biggest hater? Nobody would dare to tell you in your face that you will fail, you're not good enough. But you dare to tell yourself that. You cannot speak so poorly to the only person that actually has the power to change your life. For example, would you speak so poorly to your boss that has the power of your economy? No, you wouldn't. So why are you talking so poorly to the only person that could change every single thing in your life, which is yourself? And you would never sabotage for your friend. Why would you sabotage for yourself? Start valuing yourself. Start speaking nicely to yourself. Communicate with yourself. Be kind to yourself. You would never act like this towards another person. Why are you doing it to the most important one? This was all I had for today's video. Subscribe for new videos, and I'll see you in the next one.